Hello world, my name is Max Stein and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
And I'm Raph. I also love video games.
Hello friends, Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast, where we discuss treasured video games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This week, we're relaxing with another Hot Steam, the segment where we discuss new to newish games on Valve's Steam platform. This week, we're talking about the game Pilgrim. It's a relatively new, I think it came out last month, the month before. Dare I call it a company-like.
Company-like.
I think there's enough of these games now where I'm going to say, you know what? There's enough stealing going on with these here assets and whatnot. But anyhow, more on that later. Before we get into that, we actually have some video game news to cover. Two things. Buck, you mentioned this release of the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 collection.
Yes. The
For
Pixel
the
Remaster,
PS4.
as
Can
it's
you
called.
please elaborate? Tell the viewers what you told us before we
This
started
is
recording.
very
please.
exciting.
It
Very
is.
exciting.
It is a lot, especially for us physical collectors. So if you guys haven't seen before, they did the Pixel Remaster set of Final Fantasies 1 through 6. They up-res the sprites, they changed the fonts, some good, some bad. They made better effects for all the spells, everything else. Totally revamped all these games to make it a little more palatable in the modern setting to play all of them. So they released about a year or so back physical copies for the Switch and the PS4s, maybe a little bit longer than that. They did not make enough of them, and the American copies, the ones with the ESRB logo in the corner, they didn't make enough, and they sold out like almost right away. Like me and Benny were in the same boat where we were like, I didn't think they would sell out in like a week and then never come back. And so fast forward to this year, the Switch version was going for a couple $100, reselling in eBay and whatnot, and the PS4 version was going for like $1,000, like
That is
$1,000
crazy.
Wow,
dollars
dude.
for
Is that
this game.
sealed or opened?
That was just the completes were going for like $800, and sealed were going for like almost double that in some cases.
Damn.
So it was unbelievable, and it was like, Square, what are you doing? I mean, somebody had to have been paying attention finally. So they just announced this past week that they are rerunning them. A little bit different artwork, a little bit different naming on the front, and they come out in October. So you kids go pre-order now so you don't miss the boat again. Me and Benny both got our PS4 copies as well, and they're only like $80 for 6 of the best Final Fantasy games and remastered as well. But it's just nuts. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens with the collectability of the originals, because they do have different box art, they do have different names on them, so they're very distinguishably different editions. So it'll be interesting to see
The original
values.
release and this new release.
That's
Yeah, the
like-
original one says
that's
Pixel
like
Remaster right on it.
You got to be super duper nitpicky or be a completionist to even care
Yeah.
about that. If you're after just a copy of the games for your own collection, this is the way to get it and not have to spend.
I'll give you an example. And it's not an extreme example like this, but we all know about the Madden games and how they're like a dime a dozen, right?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
no one gives a crap about the Madden games. However, in 2000, I believe 12 it was, for the PS2, it's the only time they have ever released a greatest hits red label version of a Madden game. So they I don't know whether because they reran them or because they made too many or they didn't make enough, but they made a greatest hits version. If you go and look, it was so funny because the first time I came across this, I saw the red on the label and I went, greatest hits Madden? That's kind of odd. And that greatest hits Madden goes for like $20 to $30, $35 for a Madden game. But
right, the greatest hits games usually are $20. They're usually
the
cheaper than
regular version of that same year of Madden
It's
goes
not.
for $5 like every other Madden, or less than that. They're all dime a dozen.
Wild.
Right.
And so it's a collectability thing of like a variant version or like an original in that case. You can even go back to Venny like Night Trap, and it's a little bit different obviously, but I always love talking about Night Trap, how they released it before the ESRB logo was on it and after it was on it. And it's the same game, just one has different artwork. But the original red box one goes for more than the blue box one does.
Box only $1.99 on eBay. Look at that.
Just the box.
Just the box.
So what happened in the interim was sites like Play Asia, who carry a lot of import games and international versions, you could still buy it for about $100. I'm talking about the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster game.
Mhm.
You could still buy it for about $100 from them, and it's the international version, no ESRB logo on it, because The Switch is region free. The PS4 is region free, and you can just select the language that you want to play in. So you could still play those games if you didn't care about the collectability portion of it.
I see. And the PS5 is backwards compatible, yes?
Yeah, you can play PS4
Perfect.
games on it.
And I was also going to ask, what else is this being released on? Because I would
Just those
actually
two.
love just
Physical?
Switch.
Just those two.
is it on the Switch?
Switch and PS4. That's
Switch
it.
Okay,
and
okay,
PS4.
that's- yeah,
And if you just want to play the games, if you just want to play the Pixel remaster games, they're also available on Steam.
You can buy them individually on Steam. Like if you just want to
Right.
play 3
Yeah.
because you never played 3, something like that.
You can buy them individually on the respective online stores. Like if you just want
You're
to
right,
play,
yeah.
your favorite FF4 buck on the PlayStation, you could
Sure.
just go buy that. But
I'd
with
love to have
Steam,
the
that's-
physical, like
Yeah.
Precisely. And it's a good way to play Final Fantasy 3. Or it's a good excuse to own Final Fantasy 3 because that game was since it escaped our purview on the first way around. I feel like a lot of people haven't been exposed to
2
the
and 3,
jobs.
like the original 2 and 3.
Yeah, like actual invents the
Mm.
job system 3. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I gotta say, last
Go
year
buy it for that.
I got them on Steam just because I never saw myself owning it on the PS4 because I was never going to pay that price tag. So
Right.
I bought the Pixel Remaster Collection on Steam last year just to
Oh,
have
shit.
them in my library.
Yeah.
I still pre-ordered the PS4 version because I want a physical. But the point I'm making is, I went back and played Final Fantasy 1 after not playing Final Fantasy 1 for 33 years, and it holds up.
Yeah.
It's really good. The Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy 1 is actually flippin' fantastic. From the graphics, the encounters, the music, what they did with the spells, what they took some liberties on, some of the they didn't redesign any of the dungeons or anything. Like it's a faithful translation, but
Mhm.
but yeah, they took some really cool visual liberties, and they renamed a couple of things that didn't make sense because some of those FF1 naming things were a little funny, like Dia. It was Dia, now it's Holy, stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah,
What is the
it's
price
great.
tag on that for the PS4 and the Switch? Do you know? It's probably like
$79.99,
60
I
bucks.
think.
Yeah,
75,
they're-
yeah, 75, 79,
I mean,
something
it's
like that.
6 games, so it's
Yeah, that's pretty
priced a little
tight.
bit higher, but it's pretty cool.
That's honestly still less. Like, I mean, I've seen like the non-ESRB ones, like the ones that are outside of the US region, going for like $100 a piece. So that's still cheaper.
That's the retail
than-
price for those
Right,
for that international version.
Still better. That's good. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited.
Moving on to our other piece of news, a movie review. Borderlands movie just came out.
Oh,
Kevin Hart,
man.
Jack Black, what's
Kate
her name
Blanchett,
from
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, and IGN gave it a 3. And what did you say? It's
Okay, first of all, I don't trust IGN because they
Right.
suck at that stuff. This is the same guys that gave the latest Demon Slayer arc anyway, fuck them. But
I got my
Rotten
bone to pick
Tomatoes,
with
it's currently
IGN,
sitting at a
yeah.
6%.
Yeah, I was,
6% on Rotten.
That's out of
Tomatoes.
100%, by the way.
Yeah, percentages
Not out
usually
of,
are.
not out of 10%.
I haven't played but like an hour of any Borderlands game
Oh,
at all.
I adore them.
So,
They're so good.
even if I went and saw it, I
Such
wouldn't know if
flavor.
it was
Yeah.
disliked because it was unfaithful or if it's disliked because it's just a bad movie that's written poorly or something like that.
But Eli Roth wrote and produced it, and all I could think was it's got to be because he loves the series, right? Because he's a horror director.
Yeah. I
Perhaps.
mean, he might like it, but I don't know. Maybe
Maybe it's just a
his-
paycheck for him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe his
So
love
painful.
of
So
Borderlands
painful.
doesn't trump his ability to write.
And it's rated
You know?
PG-13.
That's
Yeah.
a big bummer because
weird.
Yeah.
violence and profanity and exploding bodies and whatnot is very
Right.
much so a part of the Borderlands universe.
I
They're going
love
too
the
family
cast
friendly.
of that movie so much. I'm gonna watch it no matter what.
Yeah,
and
same.
Yeah.
I don't see how it could be that
I don't
bad.
know, man.
I'm curious about it. I have, it's just I've never really I've played a little bit of the Borderlands games, so it might be fun to check out just to see. It looks like
The
it might be fun.
Audience score is less than, even if you don't believe the critics' Rotten Tomato score, the audience score is less than 50%.
Ooh,
That's not very good.
Jeez.
yeah.
I played all of the Borderlands games. I played 1, 2, 3. Me and Venny and a couple friends played all the way through Tiny Tina's, and even though it was short,
Tiny
it was
Tina's.
a masterpiece. I mean, it was, but Tiny Tina's, if you guys don't know, was Borderlands, guns, blah, blah, this and that. But Tiny Tina, the character that's also in the movie, is running a D&D campaign
Running a
between
D&D
two
game.
of your
Yeah.
adventures.
And you are playing as her characters in her game.
So you
It's
have all these
wonderful.
different it's magical.
The Cheetos on the board are. It was a magical moment for me.
The Cheetos were on the board blocking your path, a
Like,
la an
oh,
RPG.
yeah, here you go.
And she's
Let me
like,
get
"Oh,
that."
you can go that way now.
You go that way now. Crunch, crunch.
That's cute.
It's great.
I don't think I'll probably go spend money to go see the Borderlands movie. I'll probably wait for it to come on some streaming service, and
Yeah.
then maybe I'll watch it.
You know what happened is it reminded Venny and I, we are huge fans of the Monster Hunter series. And it reminded us that they made that Mila
right.
Jovovich movie, which neither of us saw.
Wait, what?
I'm sure
They
it's
made a Monster
not
Hunter movie 4
that-
years ago.
No
Mila
way, for real?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ready? Monster Hunter. You don't even have to know Monster Hunter to kind of understand. It's this world where they hunt all these giant
Yeah.
monsters, right?
Yeah.
The story is Mila Jovovich is like a marine of some shit, and her platoon get sucked through a portal to a different world where there's a bunch of monsters.
It's an isekai show? Like it's like an
Yeah.
isekai
Yes,
thing?
it
Like,
is.
Basically, wow,
Yes.
that's funny.
They Resident Evil treatmented it. Like everything is way more
Oh.
militarized, and they're like, you know what I mean? Like, how could we do Monster Hunter for real? And it's just like, that's not,
Right.
why would you? No one wants to see that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, just do Monster Hunter for Monster Hunter. It's weird because it seemed like they've been nailing video game movies lately. So for this movie to be not good is like, damn, it's got all those people in it and it's still not good.
Yeah.
Must just
Very
really be poorly written, I think,
a
honestly.
very unfortunate side note that Buck and I were discussing earlier is that the Amazon Prime Like a Dragon TV series, the Yakuza TV series,
I
Yeah.
didn't know this
the
existed either.
director said we
Not
did
either.
not play the games and we did not let the actors play the games because
Yep.
we want to make our own version. Fuck
Yeah.
your own version.
No.
We're
Yeah.
watching Yakuza because we want to watch Yakuza that we know and love. Are you kidding me right now?
Look
man?
at this. Look at this. You're making the
Look
Yakuza
at-
fans cry.
Look at
this.
this. Look at our artistic vision. This is our version of Yakuza. Give me a fucking
I saw
break.
that as well.
It's about Japanese gangsters and shit. You're gonna watch it anyway. Fuck
So
you.
You know, it
dumb.
makes me think of like the Fallout series, and it's like the main actress in that. They played the game before they did, and a lot of it informed her acting decisions during the show.
Right. They understood the universe they were supposed to be in for
Right,
the people
yeah.
who'd be interested in that universe.
What a
Yeah.
concept. Jeez.
yet
And
we have-
Fallout was great.
Exactly.
And
It was fantastic.
have a clear miss with this movie.
Right.
It must be. But all that does is make me want to go back in time. So why don't the retrogametreasure.com and the Megabuck take us back in time, please?
Diddle-oo, diddle-oo, diddle- I mean, back in time. What, you kids don't like Wayne's World? What's wrong with you?
Thank God we're here where no video games have movies.
I
I hope.
Ooh,
Wait.
I was gonna say, ooh, that's kind of bad because I
Double
almost
Dragon?
picked.
Mario?
I almost picked one that.
Double Dragon. I haven't seen that in years.
I'm on the same console, but I didn't pick the one that I almost thought about. You didn't want Who Framed Roger Rabbit on the NES today? No, okay.
Hell yeah.
How about
Hell
Yonoid?
Yo,
Capcom.
yo,
Oh,
wow.
Lord.
Dude.
So funny.
Oh,
Oh
how,
my
about,
God.
how about mascots? How about pizza mascots in video games
and
instead of
yo-yos?
His whole thing represents a hilarious fever dream that
About cold
overtook
pizza.
America and specifically Domino's advertising in the 90s. If you weren't alive at the time, for no reason at all that is discernible by man, Domino's decided to make the focus of their ad be like, sometimes you get delivery pizza and it sucks shit. And it's just like,
Hold it
first of all,
close to
that's
the
not a
camera,
good
Buck.
way.
Hold it really
That's not a
close to the
good way to
camera.
advertise pizza. And so the way they had to physically represent this is they invented this creature called the Noid, who apparently goes around making pizzas bad. And then he got a game made by Capcom
where he can't be bad because you're good. So now the Noid is good.
You're playing as the bad guy.
are you
I
winning
had this
anything
game-
that's not Domino's Pizza in this game? What do you
I
do?
loved this game when I was a
It's-
kid, mainly because
yeah.
it was Capcom. And so if you've played this before, it has serious like Mega Man Rescue Rangers, DuckTales.
It actually
vibes,
does.
like
It
super
does.
serious. And I linked to you guys a banger of a musical track as well.
It
for us
does have
to
good
listen
music.
to.
I remember that
Um,
distinctly.
I read that I had to watch the intro because I did not absorb that as a kid, and something about Mr. Green is actually the bad guy, and he's doing something bad, and the mayor knows that the Noid is the only one that can
They're trying to retcon their own storyline they invented for their
No.
mascot. That's how bad an idea it is. Like they're like, wait, our mascot represents badness. Shit, fuck. Actually, no, the other guy's bad. This guy's good.
But what happened was it was one of those things where I'm sure Capcom was making a new game, and then someone in licensing went, yo, we got Domino's to give us a bunch of money to make the main character the Noid instead, and we do cross-promotion, because there's a bunch of shit in this game that makes absolutely no sense to Domino's or whatever. Like, in the levels, you collect special power-up weapons a la like Castlevania. Like, you get like a secondary weapon. You always have his super yo-yo, but you get secondary weapons like the ice and the speed boost and some of those things. You collect the scrolls, which are almost like, again, the hearts in Castlevania, how many uses of that ability you get in a level. And so finding some of those is the key to doing that. But then at the end of every level, there's no boss. There's a pizza eating contest. Which is
remember that.
Which
That's
is
so
kind
funny.
of.
It's I probably never made it to the end of a level.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like math in disguise, though. Like what happens?
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at this.
What happens is you're collecting things throughout the level. It depends on like how your bonus depends on how many of the cards or different types of pizza you get at the end, and your opponent randomizes how many pizzas they have, and then to you it says how many pizzas you're gonna bring, and you have to bring more than them. But if you found hidden things like the ×2 multiplier and the pepper and things like that, if they bring a 2, or a 3, for example, and you bring a 2 × 2, you can beat them with a 4. But if they bring a 5 and you can't beat it, you can use the pepper to just mess them up on that turn so that you beat them for that round. And so you have to eat the full quota of pizza before the other guy
It's
does.
Balatro.
Yeah, there's food-based
it's Yo
math
Balatro.
card game.
Pizza Latro. Lots
I
of
love
pizza.
it. That's so. I did not know this. That's so. I never got to the end of the first level. The platforming was quite difficult. The first level involves this like rising water.
Yeah, the very first level.
Yeah, the very first fucking
Which
level.
is crazy because there's area of the deck that the pixels of water just barely meet the top of that deck. But if you land on those deck pieces when the water's there, you're dead.
Yes.
Noid can't swim in ankle-deep water.
Meanwhile, there's fish coming from underneath you and seagulls coming to get you, and
guys
with
a
man who's trying to steal your yo-yo, I presume, is trying to get you.
It is that Noid. He's going to give me free pizza. Hey, get back here. Hey, get back here.
Hey, let me get your skin.
The absolute second level of this is a snow level, which always sucks in games. And there's
you
a
jump
dude,
all around. Yeah,
there's a dude who's curling. He's playing fucking curling in this game.
It's one of the bad guys.
So
Wow.
Look out, I'm a bad Canadian, eh?
I am seeing there's a level where you skateboard, and that's pretty cool.
One of the other fun things I
is
forgot to
pretty
mention in this game is there are hidden mini games. And what I mean by hidden is like you could be walking through a level and all of a sudden you jump up and back just a bit, and there's basically like a hidden portal that you don't see, but if you touch it, you get teleported to these mini games. One of them I remember in particular was this like hockey guy and his thugs next to him, and they're like, hey, play this whack-a-mole game, and if you whack enough moles, you'll get something, but you won't because I'm too good.
I'm too good at mole whacking.
And then if you whack enough whack-a-moles, you basically get like a level skip. Like it's like a portal, like level skip for doing well enough in the mini game. So it was so deep for what didn't. I'm almost positive that they were designing this as something else, and I should have looked it up beforehand. But then they picked up the Noid and went, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It really does have some beautiful looking platform. Like the number of things they throw at you. Like you said, if you were anything else besides, because if you look at the menu screen of like the first thing you see is just like it push start or whatever, and it's like the Noid's disgusting, overly detailed face, like with his full back and his mouth. There's like
He has 2 buck teeth.
So ugly as
It looks like some shit out of Ren and Stimpy. Like
you're
just,
right,
like, really detailed drawing.
Hey, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a hot steam with Spooky Times Pilgrim. Be right back. Hey. All right. We are back. Hit the music. Hit the steam.
It tickles.
Oh, is it about to get sexy?
Gentlemen, kick back.
Turn the steamy up.
We are logging on to our PCs. No, not for that. to get on Steam and play video games. That's right. Welcome to Hot Steam, the show within a show where we jump on Steam and play 1 to 4 new to newish games. This week, we only played one. And that one was a multiplayer spooky content company like called Pilgrim. Not Pilgrims, which is a different game. This game is developed and published by Desperate Measures, is the name of the guy that did it. Released in May of this year. It's gotten a very positive overall rating on Steam. I believe Raph was the one that turned us on to this. It is a multiplayer. Yeah. It's a multiplayer horror game. So it was introduced to us by Raph.
It's my kind of game.
It is a company-like, in my opinion, because it's basically company-like equals exploring randomly generated 3D dungeons in search of X MacGuffin, mostly for the sole purpose of continuing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But this one varies in a couple notable ways that I think we all sort of agreed. It's a little bit different than Content Warning. It's a little bit different than Lethal Company. So I'll point out the number one thing. I'll expound further. So first of all, no daily quota.
Yeah.
Content Warning and Lethal Company, both basically the progression is gate kept behind the idea of collecting loot. This game is not like that. Instead, at the beginning of the game, you are pointed out. You are spoken to by a very sultry. I'm going to try to get this audio clip. I might screen cap it, but this gentleman is talking to you through a gate, like a medieval gate. You're in like a medieval village, and he has the crispest audio. The microphone that he is using is incredible.
It's a little too crisp. It's like when it's like when they increased the frame rate on the Lord of the Rings, and it looked like fake.
Yeah,
like right here, like he's just whispering right in your ear.
The rest of the game is very lo-fi, and there's like some sort of there's background music in this game. First of all, that's one thing that sort of differs. And there's like the rain, and everything's PS1 looking, and then you have this crystal clear guy being like basically delivering to you Dark Souls like dialogue, like, "Oh, hello. Oh, you look tired. Oh, you must be the new Pilgrim." Like whatever. You're just like,
sorry, my hands on your testicles.
So that's already scary. But basically, he explains to you that you're a pilgrim, and he points out to you that in front of you there's a cart, and he wants you to take that cart to the end of the road that it's on, and then release a bird that is dwelling in a cage on the roof of the cart.
Yeah.
No explanation. That's it.
You're on a pilgrimage. That's it. You know.
I'll say that
no one's ever made it. So
yeah, he does tell you that. Yeah, no one's ever made it to the end alive. And this cart is honestly more like a house. It's huge. Because it can fit up to 4 of you comfortably, and there's things inside. It's basically your ship in Lethal Company, or your house in Content Warning. Inside the cart is an engine in the dead center that runs off of these purple crystals. So the cart, I believe, starts with a crystal in it when you jump in.
Well, you start with one at the beginning that you put in there. Yeah.
Right. And above that engine is a clock that basically has just like 3 times represented. It's like there's like a little symbol for daytime, a little symbol for nighttime, and then there's like a red colored moon. So
some sort of blood
the game
moon,
is broken up into time cycles, kind of like these other, Content Warning likes, but this is broken up into these 3. Beyond that, there's just a wheel in there that starts and stops your cart. You can also get out and manually push your cart. So once you get going, you run into these dungeons. So it's basically, instead of skipping to the dungeons like in Lethal Company or skipping to the next day, you have to physically push yourself to the next encounter.
Right.
So that's already a pretty cool difference. Did you guys like that about it? Because there are some aspects about that also spice that up.
I thought that was so great. The ambiance surrounding you was way more terrifying. Especially when it was like, when you guys were like, well, let's save on crystal. We don't have them before we'd gotten a couple extra crystals. You were like, no, let's push for a while. And then it was like, what's that?
Yeah.
And the reason it's so scary is Buck's not imagining things. There are things that will chase you in between your dungeon runs. They chase
Right.
you, I believe, at different speeds based on what time it is. But
Yeah.
the thing that we got chased by was a huge, like, giant Attack on Titan size.
You
like,
missed that part, Venny, when we ran out of
Yeah.
crystal and we were pushing our cart, and this giant thing just is lumbering towards the back of our cart, and we're like, get in, close the door. And then its face is just like,
You mentioned the flesh giants. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He's literally has
It's
his
wild.
face all the way up to these windows of our cart, and we're waiting for the time to switch back to day, so he'll leave us
Leave.
alone so we can get to the next area. Very
Oh,
scary.
wild.
it keeps you in the ambiance of
Yeah.
everything it's trying to achieve.
Yeah,
And
I thought that was
also,
cool.
yeah, dude, I dug that. Like, he doesn't just straight up, like, it's not instant death if he shows up.
Right.
You can avoid him,
Right.
but he's super creepy. You know, that's the
the
thing. It's
merchant
like,
is
oh, shit.
creepy. What?
The merchant is creepy. Yeah.
So above the gas wheel that I mentioned before, the start and go that is, powers the engine that runs off the crystal. Above that is a ticking, like, meter that next to it is scrawled the words distance traveled. So it just literally counts upwards. Long story short, you go to a dungeon, you raid it just like the other lethal likes. You can pull out crystals that you can just straight up put in your gas tank to make your car go, so you don't have to stand outside and push it and get got by the big scary monster. And you can also find loot that you sell to merchants, which are usually every other stop, like every other thing that you'll encounter a scary place, and then you'll encounter a merchant that's got like a spooky, like, toy box like
Yeah.
thing playing, and that's how you know you're getting
with a
close to him.
monkey. No.
But
You're right.
so the dungeons play out much like those. They're filled with monsters. The monsters are like, we encountered like a hulking skull, fleshy beast.
I chucked a spear into the side of it, and it just kept chasing Raph. It didn't care.
Honestly, a notable monster is this burning man that follows Doctor Who Weeping Angel rules.
Yeah.
Who, if he catches you, will take a audio recording of the last, like, 10 seconds worth
Yeah.
of something you said and repeat it as if he is you, and, like, gain a body as he'll look like you. One of them got Raph and I when me and Buck and Raph were playing, and we had to watch Buck get tormented by this mimic, and it was so
Going
funny
like,
for us, but it
"Can we
looked
go
like
around
Buck
it?"
was so scared.
Even in Mac's voice, can we go around it? Can we go around? I'm like, I don't know, Mac. Where'd Raph go? Did it get Raph? Can we go around it? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
What?
Why?
My
I don't
body's just
know.
standing there going, "Can we go around it?
Why
Can we go around it?" And Buck's like, Mac?
The game has
God.
proximity chat, and it uses that to confuse you with things like that, or the further away you get from your teammates, you can't really see them anymore. We got super lost in a labyrinth at one point, and your torches and lanterns all have limited uses, and if you don't have places to relight them, it just keeps getting darker and darker the more
Yeah.
you're playing. Benny's watching us,
love
he's like,
that
"You guys are
mechanic.
stuck. You're gonna get." I'm like, "We got out at the last second."
Yeah.
It was
I
really-
honestly,
It was really exciting to watch. I wasn't able to join in that night, but I was like, I had kids to bed and family stuff to do. I was like, oh, I really want to watch, and I'm so glad I got to hang out with you guys for like 30 minutes, because it's head and shoulders better than Lethal Company, in my opinion. And just I was invested in the characters, because it wasn't just this, oh, you're flying in space to whatever planet, blah blah blah, let's put in our coordinates. No, it was a journey, and I was like,
Right.
what's
It
going to
feels
happen
like
to
a
them
journey,
next?
yeah.
What's going to happen to them next? Are they going to get out? Are they actually going to go into this ruin? Oh shit, I got to.
That's a great
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
That is a
Buck,
huge
no, don't go
difference.
that way. You're gonna, it was a lot of fun.
You know
to watch.
what's another thing that makes it like the following the characters, following the journey, is one of the items that the merchant sells is, well, he sells two things. He sells chalk and masks.
oh yeah.
Because in this game, if one of your friends dies, instead of like those other games where you just sort of, they come back when you go into the next day, they just like boop appear on your ship.
Yeah.
In this game, you have to take these masks to these pentagrams that you find. The merchant always has one by
Warning,
him.
Yeah.
contains satanic references.
And there's
But
a couple
some
of
of-
maps that have them too. Yeah.
Some
a
of the
couple
maps have
dungeons.
them like before you walk into them, and you have to use the chalk to physically like outline the pentagram that is sort of etched on the floor, and then you put the mask in the center of it, and it'll bring your friend back to
Yeah,
life.
we had to do it for Rav.
Yeah.
So
I
you'll
believe if you recover the body, I think you can use the body as well.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
interesting.
so, yeah.
So
I think if you're able to recover the body.
But the
'cause
one time
sometimes you
that
can't.
happened, there was a giant monster with a spear in the side of it chasing you, and it chased you through a trap that would have sliced us all in half. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back.
Nah.
yeah, you were gone. But you start with an extra mask. You can buy extra masks from the merchant. I liked that. I thought that was a cool
Me too.
way to
Mhm.
gamify the revive instead of
Yeah.
just like, oh, well, Raph's dead, so I guess we should leave. It's just like, Raph's dead. Okay, well, you want to like, I don't know. It didn't necessitate returning, and then even when we did return, it became cool to be like, we got to bring back Raph. Like, we gotta. Do we have
you gotta do a
chalk?
whole thing, right?
Do we have a mask? Like, it was cool.
We got enough money to buy it, and save points. The fact that it has save points
There's
at the
save
merchant's
points.
stops.
And the
Is-
save
That's right.
points work in a way where a lot of these games you can save, but they won't save if you all die. Like if you all die, then you have to start over. With this, we all died. We were able to
Right.
jump right back into the save point, which felt really nice.
For me, I enjoy that more because I
Mhm.
don't feel like I when I'm playing the game, I get really nervous about losing everything or like
Right.
playing like the chain together. Like, no, I don't want to start
Right.
over.
That's
Yeah.
what I was just
I
about
want
to
to
say.
progress and get more.
Like as you guys would wheel forward, and I'd be like, "Oh, what are they coming up to next? Oh,
Yeah.
is that a
Yeah.
really, that's
I
oh,
wanted to mention one particular one that fucking
Oh,
whooped
yeah.
ass, which was so we're rolling up with like different dungeon, and then
Cave,
couple
castle.
whatever, this all thing, and then we roll up to one that is just a village.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's not
that's when I
a
started
cavern
watching.
at all.
Yeah.
It was like,
It's-
where
it
do
was-
we go in? Where do we go? It's like, you don't. You're
No,
already
it's
You're
there.
just-
there.
It's
Yeah.
just my eyes are tearing up thinking about it because it was so scary and so awesome. Just because it was like
I liked that part too.
it reminded me of like how Night of the Living Dead is cool, and then
Mhm.
when Dawn of the Dead comes out, you're like, ooh, a mall, good idea. It was
I
like
love
that.
that
You're like
movie.
dungeon, and then village, and we were like, oh yes, oh my god. And so it's just a bunch of diasporic buildings. Just it's like some people like house size, I guess you could say, some
Right.
storage room size, I guess.
Stable, wells, all kinds of stuff like that.
And it had just also littered with monsters, littered with
Not
like
initially.
trinkets and
So
stuff.
that's the thing. That's what was eerie about it is that
Yeah.
we got there and it was quiet.
Yeah.
And we
That's
start walking
true.
around. We start finding loot. We're like, oh shit, we got a bunch of stuff.
There's so much
We
loot
take
here.
the loot back. And then Buck goes back and he's like, let me see if there's anything else. And then I hear Buck screaming.
Yeah.
Then I
And you see him running towards the
see him
cart.
running towards me.
Yeah.
Get in the car! Get in the car! Get in the car! And then he's got 3 monsters chasing him, and they start chasing us in the truck. That was the crazy thing too. Man.
Another, I forgot. I did want to mention. There's another crazy monster that's like a clockwork like toy man that has
Oh,
a
yeah.
Yeah.
cool.
Like treasure.
He'll have a treasure like in his body.
A very valuable treasure, typically too.
Right. I can't think of other like, because I don't think Lethal Company or Content Warning have a. Because they have similar monsters, but this
Yeah.
one was like, oh, cool. It's like a monster where when you start him up, the reward is that you get a valuable treasure.
Right.
So there's Indiana Jones rooms where you take a crystal and then the walls would begin to crush in on you, like a medieval booby trap or something. That's
Yeah.
something that I haven't seen in those other games.
You know what really put it over the top for me as far as, hey, this is better than I think than all the other games of its kind, because in Lethal Company and Content Warning, at the end of the day, at the end of the round, it's about, did you get the number that you were supposed to get? Did you
Right.
hit the number?
Right.
But-
exactly.
But watching you guys play Pilgrim or Pilgrims,
Pilgrim. Singular.
watching you guys play Pilgrim, it was like I was invested in the characters and did they survive? Do they have a crystal? Ooh, they spent their money on a crystal. Oh, so they can
Yeah.
get some, good time out of their, their cart,
And it was, sorry, not to interrupt, but it was cool for us to play that because there were if you came out empty-handed, it wasn't the end of the world. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be like, well,
This
we
is resource
didn't.
management.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't just like, well, we didn't hit 1200. Guess we're dead.
Start
It was
over
like,
again.
okay,
it's more like
we
an
did-
RPG.
Yeah.
You could
Instead,
even go
we have
back
to push the
in.
cart.
You could go back in, but instead it was
Yeah.
like I said, it was more just like, what we got to do now? We got to fucking push,
We
which is
gotta
just
push the
another
cart.
different version of this game in which you push this card and then the person, you can only push 2 people can push it one time, which means 1 to 2 people could be just sitting in the cart looking through the windows watching for stuff
There's the
because
ladder that leads up to the top, and you can like kind of be a lookout.
there's more stuff besides that giant I saw. There's like a
I'm
spooky
sure.
like headless ghost that
I know.
flies
I haven't seen
around.
that
Oh,
yet.
I'm ready to play
attacks-
again.
Yeah, I'm
it's very
down.
scary.
Yeah.
Like that to that point, that's the kind of game I enjoy more. Instead of you didn't
I
meet the
wanna play
quota,
this time.
you're dead. Instead, you didn't get the resources you need. Now you just are inconvenienced to be able
Right.
to do those. You have to push
Yeah.
the cart. You don't have weapons to stop some of the monsters, so you can't go for more loot. That's okay. The next 2 dungeons we go into, let's try our best, gather some of our resources up again, and then we'll be better off until we make a mistake again or everybody dies.
Almost like Darkest Dungeon or something, where you're like,
Right, yeah.
listen,
Right.
shit hit the fan, but the game's not over. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
That's a
fine.
good way
We
to
can
put
keep
it, yeah.
playing.
My
Really
favorite
cool.
moment from when we were playing was actually there was after you hit a few points of interest in the beginning, you end up at this gate. And when you get to the gate, one of you has to actually leave the cart, go around the wall, find a hole in the wall,
That was
climb
cool.
into the gate,
That was
and then
cool.
open the gate.
Meanwhile, the giant monster is slowly
Right.
trundling towards our cart.
Yeah,
while this
That's
is
the thing. Yeah. So the
happening.
monsters come in. I open the gate swings open. You guys drive in, and
We're
then
like,
I
"Go,
start
go, go, go,
closing
go."
it. And you guys are screaming, "Get in the car! Get in the car!" I'm like, "No, no, no!" And I close the gate in the monster's face.
Great.
Dude. It
was
was
great.
It
it
was
was
awesome.
a great
Me
moment.
and Mac were both like, we
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Great moment. It felt
was
so
cool.
fucking good to see that thing slam in his face. I was like, "Fuck you, dude."
Because we had I think we had
It's true.
boofed a dungeon, so that's why we were pushing. And then it's
Right.
like next thing is the merchant, where it's like, all right, we can at least
Yeah.
save here, so you don't
Yeah.
have to. I mean, the game's not over. That was really cool.
Then we had some really good runs, and we had like 3 spare crystals, and these two are still like, well, let's push the car. I'm like, guys, get in the car. Come on, we got plenty now. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I want to
It's
save the
okay.
crystals just in case.
I'm
No, I
so
wanna spend
scared
money
that
on
yeah,
gas.
I want to save the crystal so I
We'll
can
save
haul ass with
like
the gas.
1 extra crystal, maybe 2, not 3.
So I
Um,
think that the way the blood moons work, by the way, I think it's during the day the monster doesn't chase you, but then at night it chases you at speed with your cart. I think at the blood moons
Just
it moves
follows.
twice as fast.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
that's I
It'll
love that
catch
in
up
the
to you,
beginning.
yeah, and
Yeah,
try to
right.
grab
there's
you.
little billboards on the side that says it's following you. Or
Yes,
something.
I love
so
that.
scary.
Oh my God.
Terrifying.
So much
That-
atmosphere in this game.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that.
Enjoy that.
I wrote that as a bullet point. It's just like pretty much the first of all, the medieval setting is refreshing.
Yeah.
Because both of the likes in this, the content company likes, futuristic.
Yeah.
The one thing that I said before we started recording that I miss about the futuristic thing, that's an item that they don't have. The merchant's got a lot of items. I didn't go over them, but he's got a crossbow with bolts. He's got spears you can get that you can throw. He's got
bucket?
he's got a bucket full of water, which we couldn't figure out quite what's. Maybe we use that on the fire guy or something.
Oh yeah. I didn't
He's
think about
got this compass that tells you like the cardinal directions that a crystal is in, and he's got a duck call, which I'm not quite sure if that's for attracting enemies or if that's for letting your allies hear you. Maybe.
Man, that
Yeah.
proximity chat is extreme in that game. I mean, once one of your teammates gets 10 feet away from you, you can barely hear what they're saying.
Yeah, they kind of got to
Which
fix. And also, if you're
leads
facing
me
away too.
to
yeah.
what I miss, which is no walkie-talkies.
Oh,
I gotta
walkie-talkies are
say,
great. Yeah.
In Content Warning and Lethal Company, my favorite item is the walkie-talkie. It's so
So-
funny to have the battery die.
Mm.
It's funny to talk on it. It's funny to
Mm.
have it go silent and then be like,
Yeah.
shit. So I hope they invent like a crystal, like a
Right,
speaking stone.
I
You
was
know what I
about to
mean?
say,
Like
this game is still really, really early, and so what I look forward to is expanded items that do
Mhm.
things like that, and even more varieties in the levels will be
More locations. I think
so
that's what it needs. Yeah.
easy to implement though with the style of the game, just like the other content company games.
yeah.
Content
the
company.
the audio, the directional audio, it's cool that it's in there, but in to dovetail with this is very early access, it is quite janky because
rough, yeah.
in my opinion,
okay.
it'll be like instead of feeling like it's coming out in a cone, it feels like it's shooting out in a line. Because if you are
Okay.
off just like a little tiny bit, you cannot, like if you're like faced sideways to your friend, you cannot hear them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a little extreme, game. I
It
don't
just
know.
forces you to do that kind of stuff. And once
I
you
hope
get
they
4
make
in
it
there, we can
wider, is
split
what
up.
I'm saying. I hope they
Right.
make your cone of speaking just a little bit wider. It was
It
a
should
little
be
bit tight.
multi-directional, honestly.
It just
should be all around,
came
yeah.
out. Has he even made any like updates to the game yet?
Very,
it's-
very few.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe just 1 or 2. But yeah, the fantasy, I already said the fantasy setting is refreshing. It allows for some
like that.
villains and things like traps that if they were in a sci-fi themed game, maybe would be out of place.
Right.
The design would be out of place in a sci-fi game. So we as fantasy people appreciate that. There's a thing that there are doors that will open and close themselves, sort of as like a jump scare thing, which is really
Terrifying.
cool. But then
Until something comes out
sometimes
of them.
sometimes I can't. Sometimes I swear to God, they will jank out so severely
Yes.
because they're just like, which is just the sound of a door opening and closing, just like
Is this what a
uncontrollably over
door
and over
sounds
again.
like?
And
So
so
I
that's
think it's throwing around like random audio in the background to try to scare you. I think it does it on
Interesting.
purpose,
because
honestly.
we would come in and be like, "Whoa, the door's well, oh, I think the door's just glitching out." Yeah, I was like, it's kind of it's spooky at first, but then it's just kind of like it's
The door
jank
would
is funny.
close, and then after the door is completely closed, it would go like,
Right.
I think that was the door closing effect, not something behind the door.
Right, or maybe it was another door. I'm not sure. The audio scape is a little bit off in here, but overall, to summarize our discussion here before we move on, is I would say I liked this game. It was $7.99 on Steam.
Yeah.
Worth it.
It's very early access, but it's got fun vibes, and we discussed a bunch of mechanics that help it stand out against these other games in the lethal content genre. Do you guys have any? Would you like to give your closing thoughts on this game?
I like the serious vibe of it. It's not goofy, weird, goofy, internet funny like the other stuff. It's like a
Yeah.
legit fantasy game experience. And I really appreciate that in a world of, hey, let's just do it for the memes. It's cool to have a real medieval horror come
I
along.
agree. It feels mysterious,
Yeah.
which is what I
Yes.
felt with like the early days of Lethal Company and the early days of like content warning, especially with Lethal Company. Early on, Lethal Company felt really weird because it was like, I don't know what anything does. I don't know what these monsters are capable
I think
of.
that's any game, though.
Really any game, yeah. But then this one in particular, something about the music, like the sound direction, as far as like the music that plays when you walk into a dungeon, those like your footsteps, and then that like tinkling, like whatever that music was that comes on is so spooky, and it really
is.
sets the tone for walking around this quiet dungeon. It seems quiet, and then you hear doors slamming and shit walking around, and then your friends are screaming, and you're all getting chased by a bunch of fucking monsters. It was great, dude. I loved it, man. I loved it. I had a blast, man.
Buck, any closing remarks?
I like seeing that this guy is constantly updating this game already because, like Raph was just saying, there's a lot of stuff in there, but there's not so much stuff that it'll stay interesting for a really long time unless he
Definitely needs new
and just
content,
looking at some of the hotfix updates, there's been already already extended the range and fixed some of the VoIP. Already, this is with extra range on the VoIP we're playing with already.
Yeah, I heard it was worse.
Adding a new thing to the world. I'm doing air quotes when I said that. All kinds of different things. He's like every 1 to 2 weeks he's making updates, adding content, changing up things. That'll keep it fresh and that'll keep it fun. You don't have to add a lot, but if you add one thing once or twice a month, that'll change it enough to make it interesting.
Hey, one of the most recent patches was the "They Look Like Us" patch, which added, I guess, the scariest fucking monster that I ever ran into in a game.
I love the PS1 graphics, though. I don't know it's one of my favorite consoles of all time, I guess, but I love the PS1 jank to it. There was somebody in the forums on this. Are there settings to make this game look better? Get out of here.
You're an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants you here.
Man.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to jump back into our save game, this time with Mr. Venacor, and we will get to the end and release the roof pigeon to see what to see what happens at the end of Pilgrim. Go check it out on Steam. Gentlemen, I'm beginning to prune. Let's get out of the sauna. Let's get to our what else you got and get on out of here. What do you say?
Yeah,
Okey-dokey.
To the trumpets, Daryl! Well, here you are, the chosen. And they say you volunteered for this too.
All right, gentlemen, we're at the end of our show, which means it's time for me to ask all of you, what else you got? What else you got? This section of our show where we're allowed to bring anything that we want to the table, be it video game or otherwise. I will go first, as usual. This week, I'm bringing a game. It's a game that has been on my backlog for quite some time. I should have checked the release date, but it was at least 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5. Time flies. The Resident Evil 3 remake,
Yeah, that's right.
the Nemesis
baby.
remake. I
Yes, please.
finally beat it. I played through and beat the whole thing within maybe 4 or 5 sit downs, a couple hours at a time. Not a very long game. I love the Resident Evil series, even before I could play them because they were too scary and too hard to control. I loved watching my brother play them. And then when 4 came out, it was a wrap. Ever since 4, the games they've been putting out have been great, except for 6 and whatever. Yeah. Right. That's the one that was like the arcade one.
Yeah,
Um,
the
so
giraffe
so
that blows
These
the
remakes
guy,
come out. Resident Evil 2 remake. Whoops. Ass.
Look at the wait, back up, go back and
What'd you
look at the cover of Resident Evil 6 and tell me that's not a giraffe blowing a guy.
Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, he said something about a giraffe blowing
guys
a guy.
never
And I
heard
had
this?
to take a look at this.
Hold on. Wait.
Resident
Oh yeah,
Evil
that's a
6
giraffe
logo.
blowing a guy, huh? Yeah,
Thank you.
It's a giraffe man
Thank you.
getting serviced in the hallway. All right. Anyhow, we have
You
to wait
have
for
to
the lap
squint?
to clear to do the hard break. So, the Resident Evil 2 remake comes out a couple years ago, and it slaps ass. It's awesome. It looks amazing. Both the campaigns are so fleshed out and beautiful, and it's filled with all the moments that everyone wants. Then this one comes out. It doesn't get as much hype, and so I don't play it right away. I play it. I guess I can see why me and Raph were talking about it. It's not as fleshed out as
Right.
2.
It was
I
rushed.
haven't played the original Nemesis. So Raph informed me that the tower sequence was
Yeah, the clock tower got
taken.
cut.
It wasn't done. They didn't finish it. They released it before they finished it.
Right.
And that's, I guess, a beloved part of that game, in fact. They took away Nemesis's stalking. They just make him basically the equivalent of like a boss plus some quick time events, basically glorified,
Scripted, yeah.
like running through a very obvious section of a level. But I like that because the stalker enemies make me nervous.
Right.
But I don't know. There's something. It's not as good as the Resident Evil 2 remake. Everyone's
No,
right.
it's not.
Me and Raph were talking about what it is. I was like, is the original Nemesis not as good as the original 2? And Raph's like, that. Yeah, that as well.
It's pretty accurate.
And I think
Yeah.
we were trying to nail down the reasoning here. And I think the reason is just that the police station's just the most kick-ass place ever.
Yeah, it's a great location.
Just the idea that it's a police station that has similar architecture to a fucking like a Renaissance castle, basically. It's just so funny. And then there are some rooms that are like basically like a laboratory, like Frankenstein's lab, and you're
Like,
just
why
like,
the fuck
this
is that
silly.
in the fucking
This
police
is so
station?
fun.
Yeah.
Not to bring up Dead by Daylight again, which I always do, but the
Raccoon
police
City?
station, the Raccoon City
Oh.
PD is a level in Dead by Daylight.
that's
and it's me-
fantastic.
It's me and
That's
Ben's
very
favorite.
faithful too. Very faithful.
But-
Yes, it has Chief Iron's office in it, has the weapons lockers in it. Like, it's very faithful, especially to the remake.
The dodge mechanic that they added to this game, I thought that you were going to have to use it really a lot to dodge Nemesis, like, but you don't. I thought, I was like, oh man, it's a new thing I'm going to have to do, and I'm probably not going to do it good. But then it was like, nah, it's not that big a deal. So I played it on Game Pass, and if you have Game Pass and you haven't
and if you
played, the
enjoy
Resident
paying
Evil,
more for Game Pass,
then you can play maybe 12 hours worth of decent Resident Evil. You get to play as the most foul-mouthed Jill I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's
My
a
favorite
scene-
was bitch can't even
No,
swim.
God damn it, you stole it from me.
Oh shit, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
She knocks Nemesis into the water with this fucking rocket launcher, and he's on fire. And she goes, "Bitch can't even swim." And I was like, "What the fuck did she just say?" I was like, "That's the strangest." They gave her Leon brain. I was like, "That's so funny."
How about that ending though? That shoving
You
it
shoot
in
the
his mouth?
laser in his
That
mouth.
was
Really cool.
That
I
was
liked
fucking
it.
cool as shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know
yeah,
if that's
that's
in the original Nemesis. Do you know, Buck? Do you end the game by doing sort of basically like a
God,
you
what
know,
was the ending?
a giant
3 was the
laser.
Resident Evil game I played the absolute least. Like I
Yeah.
probably beat the original Nemesis like twice, as opposed to like Resident Evil 1 I've beaten like 40 times.
Right. Well, either which way, I enjoyed it, but it got done, and it was like, now do you want to do the? And I was like, no, I'm good on one. That's funny. I've beaten Resident Evil 4 like 100 times, but this one I was like, I'm good on this one. So
That's the next remake you got to play.
yeah, that's next on my list. I didn't want
It
to play
is
it without playing the 3 remake. So
Dude.
the 4 remake is so good.
yeah,
Oh,
I,
if you
I
look at,
might.
like,
Yeah.
My playtime on these 3 games on Steam, like I have like 13 and a half hours on Resident Evil 2. I played both campaigns. I have like 9 hours on Resident Evil 3. Fucking Resident Evil 4, like 33 hours because that game is just that fucking good.
Yeah,
It's
really
good,
good.
man.
Yeah, I have
You gotta
22
play it.
hours on it. I beat it. I beat it twice all the way through.
Get that DLC, play as Ada Wong. It's good.
Yeah,
That
I
is
did do
enough for my what else you got. Buck, what else have you got for us this week?
I just realized within a week I bought 2 more copies of Final Fantasy IV. Because I bought the
What?
Pixel remaster. I did not own. This is an import copy of Final Fantasy IV for the Nintendo DS. I did not own this already,
Oh.
with the extremely sexy Amano art on
Yes,
the cover.
that is. Oh my goodness.
And
Yes,
I bought
sir.
Pixel Remaster this week too. So I bought Final Fantasy IV 2 more times.
Of course.
For
Good for
comparison, while it is pretty cool, it's not as good. But this is the American version of 4, which has like a metallic. I don't know if that's supposed to be Golbez or Cecil. I think it's supposed to be Golbez. I wasn't sure right away if it was Dark Knight Cecil or Golbez in the artwork. So it's like, while that's cool, I'm gonna say that the Amano art is way freaking
Wow.
cooler.
A true
Awesome.
collector.
Of just this game. My other what else you got was I haven't started playing yet, but I picked up Conscript, that Resident Evil like.
Oh.
Hell,
I
hold
thought you had
on.
played this one already, Raph.
Maybe I have. Hold on. Conscript.
Yeah, this is the World War One trenches
No,
RE1
no,
top-down
my.
RE1 looking
This
game.
is pretty new. This,
Oh, it looks. Yeah,
shit.
it's only a couple weeks.
Oh,
This
I'm adding
looks
this to my wishes.
Awesome.
Right
What the
now.
hell?
It's like, what if Resident Evil was top down?
It's like what's that
almost PS1 game.
one that we played?
Signalis.
Signalis.
It's a
Yep.
lot like Signalis. Signalis
Yes.
is more like Silent Hill like, but yeah, it's very yeah.
This is definitely more survival horror. And the funny thing is they really, really want to point out that it's like gunplay like survival horror, puzzles like survival horror. Like
Nice.
freaking go find the star tablet and put it into the wall, the indention, just
If
like
you're
a Resident
just
Evil game
watching,
would.
it's like World War One themed. It's a bunch of
Yeah,
it is.
like, or if you're just listening, I should say, it's a World War One themed. It's like dudes in trenches with gas masks on. Like,
cool.
it looks scary and cool.
It
Wow,
does look scary.
I'm
This
gonna put
reminds
that
me
on
of
my wish list.
Amnesia the Bunker. Did you guys ever play Amnesia the Bunker? Do you guys see anything about that game?
No,
No?
I played
Reminds-
The Bunker, the FME game.
I
No,
played
Amnesia
Amnesia,
the Bunker.
horror
If
game.
you know, yeah, Amnesia the Dark Descent is the
We're
same
running out of
company, fictional,
names.
but yeah, it's a survival horror game that's like set in World War One. That's very cool. Like this looks awesome. It's a setting that I
Yeah.
don't see a lot. That's kind of cool.
This looks awesome. Well, that's very nice. Raph, what else have you got for us?
And I
this
got
week?
a few things. I got a few things this week. So I am this close to beating Metroid Zero Mission. I'm very, very close. Yeah, I had never played it before, and
Zero
I
Mission's so
had a
cool.
really good time with that game, man. It's really good. It's fun. It's like, what if you took Metroid and made it Super Metroid kind of like
That's
Super
what it's
Metroid
supposed to be.
mechanics.
Yep, it's supposed to be quality of life improvements on Metroid.
Right. Yeah. I've gotten to the point. I've beaten Mother Brain. I am now, which I didn't even know this was in this game, but this game has a section where you play as Zero Suit Samus right after you beat Mother Brain, which is kind of
Whoa.
cool. It's like a weird stealth thing, which I had the scariest moment of my life in this game. All right. So as Zero Suit Samus, you can only stun these enemies, and I did so. Ran into the next room, and I thought, up to this point, I'm fine if I move into the next room. The fucker followed me.
Oh.
He followed me. That was the scariest thing ever. I was like, is he going to follow me? And then he comes running into the room after me. And I was like, oh no.
In
I had to run
GBA
and
games,
hide.
in GBA games and like PS1 games, when they would do stuff like that,
Yeah.
it would always scare. Right? It was like the original Resident Evil when you killed a zombie and you weren't sure it was dead.
Yeah.
If you came back, its
Yep.
body was gone. You knew it was
Right.
dead. Right?
That was the
Yeah, good.
formula.
And
Right.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
like in Remake, when they made the Crimson Heads, it was like, oh, that's so cool. The bodies stay there. Oh my God, why did it get him? Was it running towards me?
Panic attack the first time that happened to me. Yeah. No, yeah, this is really cool though. I'm having a blast. I'm hoping to maybe finish it in the next day or two. I'm hoping that by next week I'll be able to report that I finished Zero Mission.
Nice.
The other, what else you got that I got is
Got.
I am still chugging along in Morrowind, and I gotta say, I was talking about this before this episode. I fucking love Morrowind. Like, it is just I don't know, man. I had a thing yesterday where I was wandering around doing a job. I joined the Thieves Guild because my character, I chose Assassin as my class, so sneaking, stabbing, hiding, sneaking around and all that. And I had a job where I had to like talk to this dude, and I had to like get him to give me some Dwemer artifacts that he had stolen, right? But in that game, like nobody, it's not like Skyrim where you walk around, everyone's super friendly with you. Some people are mean. No, everybody thinks that you're a piece of shit when they first meet you. They're like, they're like, get out of my face, Outlander. And so like I meet this one dude who I'm supposed to be getting these artifacts from. And I ask him, hey, where are the artifacts? And he goes, what artifacts? So I spent the next 20 minutes bribing him. I gave him so much money. And then eventually I figure out that this guy's not going to give me the artifacts. So I just start taunting him. And I start taunting him, and I taunt him so long that he eventually just gets so angry that he tries to kill me. And I'm like, all right, cool. It's self-defense now. So I just killed him. And took the stuff. I love it. I love it. It's fantastic.
Wow.
I just taunt the guy into fighting me, and then I'm absolved from the law. The law can't come after me.
Man's man, RPG player.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I love it. My final what else you got is that I took a little trip to my friendly local game shop this week. Earlier today, sorry. Or literally right before we recorded this episode. And if you guys remember back in our NES carousel, I put Star Wars in my my NES carousel.
We remember.
I picked up Super Star Wars because it was cheap.
I love
and I was like,
Super
I've never
Star
played this game.
Wars. I love
I've
that
never
game.
played this game. I've never played this game, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought the NES one was hard. Boy, are you in for some torture.
Yeah, I've heard this is a tough one. I'm actually really excited to play this because I actually, despite it being the most mediocre game ever, I actually love the NES Star Wars.
Oh, you haven't
I
played it yet?
a
You
lot
haven't played the one you have?
I've never
played the
played-
Super NES?
Never played Super Star Wars. Yeah, it's going to be my first time.
The whole
playing it.
trilogy
Yeah.
on the SNES is
I love
great
that
but
game.
difficult.
What's
Yeah.
up?
The whole trilogy on the SNES is great but difficult. They're
Difficult,
all great
okay.
games, but they're all very difficult.
I'm okay with hard. But yeah, this is
Sometimes
this
it's
is
jank
exciting.
hard and not hard.
Not
Yeah.
actual challenge. Yeah,
Just like weird jumping and weird.
I was about to
shapes
say
of
I can
platforms
remember
and
in that
things.
first one that you get inside the sand crawler.
Okay.
It's like the second level, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
And there were spots where it was like, well, what you have to do is you have to fall down this corridor here, which you can only go this way, but then you got to hug the right wall because you got to catch this ledge. Oh, you died.
Yeah.
With that, I will say that's our show, gentlemen. Congratulations.
Oh.
We did another one. No, wait,
Benny-
Mr.
Benny
Venny.
has
Oh, so I'm sorry.
Venny.
I forgot too. Sorry.
Did you have something?
I just played the shit out of 2v8 on Dead by Daylight.
I had a
with
feeling
Buck
it was going
all
to be this.
week.
Yeah, I had a
We
feeling.
were doing double killer as much as we could all week and just wrecking kids. It was so damn much fun. And
You kids in your Dead by Daylight.
We gotta
the
play this. We
special
gotta play this
event
together. I
was
feel like,
so
yeah.
successful. It was so successful. They extended it an additional week. We were up in the evening, like, oh well, this is our last night. Let's get as many games in as we can.
Farewell. Yeah.
Oh, okay, farewell. Most awesome mode to ever
We
live.
wake up
And then
the
the
next
next
morning.
morning, I see my Discord light up. They extended it. They extended it. So guess what we were doing yesterday between work. And guess what we're
More
probably
Dead
going to do
by-
after podcast today.
Nice.
Oh, damn Dead by
Can push my
Daylight.
Workout back. Hey, our
It
darn
is-
Dead by Daylight just announced next year Five Nights at Freddy's is coming. They're finally doing a collab.
Oh
with
my
them.
And
God.
So we're
what's
getting
what's
Springtrap.
coming in a couple weeks, Buck?
We are getting Dracula and Trevor Belmont in Dead by
Castlevania
Daylight.
DLC for Dead by Daylight.
Yeah,
That's pretty dope.
it
Yes.
is dope. It's cool. Buck
Drac-
showed it to me.
Oh.
It looks really badass.
That's,
That's
what
so
else
funny.
I got.
By
That's all.
2027, all games will be Dead by Daylight. All of your
Right.
IPs will be merged
Yeah,
into
exactly.
just
Our
this one.
There'll be
friend-
two games. It'll be Dead by Daylight and Fortnite, and then
Our
everything.
good
it's-
friends Mark Steelface and Dom fellas, if you're here, if you're listening, we're giving you the credit you deserve. Hey, boys, have said they believe every video game IP it will only be DVD. So, yes, that's what I got.
I want to
Let's
see a
rock
My
and
Little
roll.
Pony killer.
Well, hey,
Okay.
listen. Thanks for listening out there in listener world. Why don't you like and subscribe? And please, we want you to reach out to us via our email at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com with any questions that you want us to answer on future episodes, be it questions about game collecting or questions about our favorite game. Maybe you want a suggestion for a game to play based off of games that you like your favorite video game or something like that. Anyhow, you can find links to that and all of our stuff, our Instagram and our Spotify, whatever, at linktree/the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Spotify, Apple Music. Their tour just wrapped up, so I hope you went and saw them, but if not, go check them out on the internet. And hey, we mentioned before that little vendor of retro video games. We would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com. Owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. That's right, the man before you. Nonetheless, Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that sends collectors custom boxes of retro video games every month. So you simply go to www.retrogametreasure.com, make your profile. This is very important. Make your profile, and you'll receive games tailored to fill out your collection every month. How does that work? Thank you for asking. So, their customer profile settings system, you tell them what games you have already, what systems that you have, what kinds of games that you like, and then they crunch the numbers so that your box every month is filled with games that A, you don't already have, and B, games that you can play immediately. What, like they're clean, I guess. I didn't want
for sure.
the spoilers.
Clean, tested, all that good stuff. None
That
of that
Raph's,
eBay, it's all
Raph's
scratched up
Super
crap.
Nintendo game that he brought home, he's gonna have to clean that with some alcohol swabs before he pops
Yeah,
that bad boy
it's
into his
gross.
Retron, or he could break his
It's
whole ass
gross.
shit.
Oh,
Not
you
with
know what?
Retro Game Treasure.
We just upgraded. Beep 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 beep. Breaking news, as Mac loves, right? We just I don't know if you guys know, we have a wish list feature on the service. So that means you can say a bunch of games. You've already set up all your preferences, but you didn't say any specific games in there. In the wish list feature, you can tell us specific games, and we just updated it. Now you can put games on your wish list for any console, even the ones that you don't have selected. So let's say you only want to collect for PS1, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and original Xbox. Those are the only games that you have on your settings. So we would only send you games for those collection. For those consoles. Let's say you have about 20, 30 PS2 games you would really like to own, but not enough for you to add PS2 to your collection list. You really only have those specific titles you want. Our wish list is now updated. The feature is updated that if you select those 20, 30 PS2 games, they will also get thrown into the system as consideration for your boxes every month based on our inventory. So it helps us to tailor your boxes even more than it already did.
That is fantastic. That is a fantastic feature. Hey, go to www.retrogametreasure.com now and start collecting games the old-fashioned way.
Sitting on your butt watching TV.
RetroGameTreasure.com, obsessed with video games since 1985. Buck, would you like to hit me with this week's list of new subscribers, please?
You got it. This week we welcome Joseph Maffey, Iliad Robledo, Joshua Krieger, Carrie Klassen, Nathan Sample, Reginald Brown, Nathaniel Laumer, Garrett Bowen, Justin Paul, and Juan Carlos Garcia.
Thank you guys so much for subscribing. My name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
It's so bad.